Welcome everybody to episode 169 of WordPress Weekly for Wednesday, November 5th, 2014. I'm your host, Jeff Chandler, joined by Marcus Couch. And Marcus, congratulations. Even though you don't even live in the area, the San Francisco Giants won the World Series. Like the third time in 5 years. And apparently the city's not used to it because they burnt a couple buses in celebration.
I really wish we would have been in town when they won it. Wouldn't that have been great during WordCamp?
Yes and no.
No,
Yes,
I
just
want
to
to
be
get
part
into
of
it.
it, and no, because I could have been in that bus that was burning.
No,
So,
you want to get out of the bus before that happens.
oh, well, this is true. This is true.
And you're safe. Just go buy a Giants hat. You know, there's bound to be one knocked off somebody's head and on the street during the riot. But anyway, Jeff, it's great to be back on the show with you. Thank you very much for your congratulations. But I live in Southern California, where the Angels are. So, congrats to them. And we got a good show today. It's just you and I, and we're going to talk some WordPress news. We got a lot of great plugins that we're going to talk about as well, and whatever comes up in between.
Yes, indeed we do. And before we get started here, I wanted to send out another shout out to, I believe his name is Takayuki Miyashi. I hope I got this right, but he had sent me a photo on Twitter from him and a couple of our Japanese listeners and followers on WPWEEKLY
Nice.
and WordPress Weekly, and he actually sent the picture to me on Twitter that was taken at WordCamp San Francisco when I met those folks. And
Yeah, I met those guys too.
yeah, a couple of those people heard us mention them on the show. So I just wanted to right off the bat give them yet another shout out and say that Japan is awesome, Tokyo's cool, and really appreciate you folks listening to the show and supporting us at WPTammer.com and at WordPress Weekly. It's pretty cool to know that we have listeners all the way across the world that far.
Yes, konnichiwa, guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate that, and I can't wait till the day, Jeff, when the universal translator will actually translate Japanese plugins so we can read them in English and vice versa.
Yes, that would be quite interesting. So let's see. Jetpack released a new version. It's up to 3.2 now, and this release has a new site logo feature for theme developers. This is something that's been talked about now for a while. I know quite a few theme developers have been asking and have been intrigued on when this feature would be added to Jetpack. Well, wait no more. So the site logo feature, which was added to WordPress.com themes in late July, is now available in Jetpack, and the goal is to increase data portability across themes and standardize the way themes present logo uploads. So the site logo feature has been added to the Jetpack's theme tools for any theme that opts to support it, and it allows themes to optionally display the site's title and tagline along with the logo, and brings a new way for self-hosted WordPress sites to enjoy logo portability. So
Nice.
cheers if you've been looking forward to that. And there's also
Whatever makes it easier, man. I mean, that's my
Yes.
motto. So if it makes it easier for people to interact and use WordPress without frustration and without hassle, then that's a great thing for the community. So thanks to all the crew and developers over at Jetpack for just even that minor functionality. It does mean the world.
And another nifty thing is that the new site icon feature in this release will let you create an icon for your site that will also be displayed as a fave icon. So instead of
Ooh, that's
having to
valuable.
manually upload a faveicon.ico file, which, boy, talking about that stuff,
Ugh.
that's like late 90s, early 2000s stuff, maybe even way back when. But now, instead of having to FTP any images or worry about that, you can use a little site icon. It'll actually turn it into a fave icon for you, which that's a nice convenience factor.
Well, yeah, that takes one plugin out of your cycle right there. I mean, a lot of us
Yeah, a
use
lot of
those
people
fave
actually use a
icons.
plugin to do that.
Yeah, and a lot of them, and see, there's also other things that those plugins do. Like there's an Apple, I think it's a 132 by 132 image in a 16 by 16. I can't remember all of the sizes, but I have one plugin where you just upload an image and then it creates all of those different variants and the favicon and all that. So I'm wondering how far this goes. I'll have to check this out myself.
Yeah, you bring that up, and I actually wrote an article about this on WP Tavern back in all the way back in the beginning of the year in January. It's this new service, although it's probably not so new now. It was called RealFavIconGenerator.net, and it was the first time I've seen a service where you upload an image and it allows you to create a platform agnostic favicon. So what it does is it creates various sizes of an image so that it looks great on an iOS device, on an Android device, on a Windows 8, and it looks like a tile, so it looks nice with the tile. And it has all these different sizes and retina displays and things of that nature. So it's interesting that instead of, because your site and the content may be seen on multiple devices, a lot of them, seeing that little, was it 16 by 16 pixel icon isn't going to work on some of these other devices. They require larger sizes. So now it's actually, I know on WP Tavern's site we have, I think we have like 6 or 9 different images to cover all the various devices on which our site would be bookmarked or viewed on. So favicons have, it's not just about the 16 by 16 pixel image anymore. You got to cater to a lot of other mobile devices.
Yeah, that should be part of core, I think, coming up. We should be doing that, where you just upload one central image that's going to be the site, I don't know, the site moniker, right?
Yeah, so something that's platform agnostic.
Exactly, so that we can just put it in one place and that's it. I mean, we're not, you don't see us using different page titles for every platform that gets viewed. I mean, so why not get some kind of commonality amongst that? I mean, face it, it's just a cosmetic thing, right? I mean, it doesn't really impede any functionality whatsoever. But it's nice to have, and believe me, I recognize the branding when I see the favicons in my bookmarks list.
Yeah, instead of seeing something with like your site logo or whatever else, this actually gives you a little bit of control on how that icon will look. And on my iOS device, you can save a website to the screen as an app icon, and I have it as the WP Tavern logo, the beer mug, and it looks like an app. And when you load it up, since the WordPress Tavern theme is responsive, it sort of acts as an app to my website, even though it's really just a bookmark. So
And that's really, I think, what it's going to come down to eventually. What is, I mean, if you have the right data stream that's going to your WordPress site in a responsive mode, shouldn't it almost act like an app? In the context of what it is, I mean, which is news, but shouldn't it be just as good as any news app? I think so.
I think so as well. Other changes to Jetpack 3.2. A few versions ago, the portfolio custom post type was added. Now there's a testimonials content type, so themes can add support for those custom post types, which, since so many people use Jetpack now, can sort of be considered standard custom post types.
Well, see, that's very interesting. I just had a question from a listener on WP Plugins A to Z, which is my other show, and they requested a plugin or some sort of framework that was, you could import testimonials with a CSV file. And I kind of suggested custom post type, but this even expands it even further. So, wow, what timing for that.
Awesome. So we got those 2 custom post types, and let's see, there's embed sources now for Twitter, SoundCloud, Instagram, Dailymotion, Vine. There is an indicator now which makes it easier to see which modules are active. We definitely need that since there's so many modules. There's Remember Me functionality to the single sign-on module, improved accessibility, and more filters added for widget visibility. And Google authorship, or the Google Plus module, was removed since Google authorship is now officially dead. And there is one other particular change that I want to talk about. And the tagline from Jetpack used to say, "Supercharge your WordPress site with powerful features previously only available to WordPress.com users." Now it says, "Your WordPress streamlined." And I want to talk about that a little bit. I've noticed on the WordPress.com some of the new features they've released over there. They refer to how can I say this other than it appears as though WordPress has been verbified, or WordPress has been turned into a verb, where similar to how people say I'm going to write a blog when really they mean they're going to write a blog post. It now seems like WordPress has become a verb where you say I'm going to create a WordPress, or look at my WordPress, or I'm going to install these plugins on my WordPress. There's no more of this WordPress site, WordPress blog, WordPress this or WordPress that. Now it just seems to be your WordPress, and I don't know if I like that, because if I walk up to somebody and I go, "Hey, do you know what a WordPress is?" I mean, if somebody asked me that, I would say, "No, I know what a WordPress site is, or I know what a WordPress blog is." But WordPress, WordPress, something in and of itself, like what is a WordPress? I don't know how I would answer that. How would you answer that? What is a WordPress to you?
Well, let's take it even further. I have clients that often come to me and say, "Can you WordPress this?" Like they'll give me a document, like a document, and they'll go, "Can you WordPress this?" So I don't mind it. Why? I don't know why you mind it, because it's taking on a name like Xerox or Kleenex.
Yes, yeah, oh yeah, and I get that part. Sort of like Coke. Instead of getting a pop, you say Coke sometimes, and that refers to all pop or soda or whatever.
Who cares? As long as they're saying it.
So that's being pushed by. I've first seen it on WordPress.com. Now it's in Jetpack, which makes sense. So I think now we're going to start seeing. In fact, I just read a post today by Mika Epstein, who is a support rep at DreamHost, and she had mentioned in her post that she hears from coworkers, from people that have asked her or have asked them to WordPress their site, or can you give me a WordPress? So WordPress has been verbified. I can consider it achievement unlocked. WordPress is a household name, I guess.
We're getting there. Absolutely.
So after we concluded last week's show, on October 30th, there was a security vulnerability that was discovered but patched in the popular WP e-commerce plugin. Now, the vulnerability was discovered by Security, and according to the announcement, the vulnerability could be used by a malicious user to easily get access and modify private information on a site. Now, this affected any website using WP e-commerce 3.8.14.3 or lower. So but when the news came out, they had already submitted a patch. An update was already available. So if you're listening to the show and you haven't checked your website in a while, or if you're running WP e-commerce, please make sure you update, because a malicious attacker can actually use this exploit to export usernames, addresses, other private information, and get this, it could also allow attackers to modify orders to go from non-paid to paid or paid to non-paid. So that's that to me makes it pretty nasty.
Yeah, well, if you don't upgrade, somebody out there is going to have a really nice Christmas this year.
I suppose so, yes. So it's really easy. If you see the update, click the update button. It'll be fixed, and you won't have to worry about it. But kudos on Security for discovering the vulnerability, working with the WP e-commerce people. They immediately put a patch out. They fixed it, and news of the vulnerability came out in collaboration with WP e-commerce, pushing the update out. So just overall, it'd be nice if all security releases and updates and vulnerabilities were discovered and fixed in this way, but that's not how the world works. But this is just a nice example of how it's easy going when things are done in this manner, when things allow it to happen this way.
And that's how it happens in our world, in WordPress, because it doesn't happen this way in other worlds, in other platforms. You're not going to hear this from Salesforce or Infusionsoft or something like that. when they have security holes in one of their add-ins and stuff. You don't hear that, and you sure don't hear it this fast or fixes this fast. So those of you out there that are hearing Jeff talk about these vulnerabilities and these exploits, understand something. You're hearing about them because we're making everybody aware, and that's what our community does. And other platforms out there don't. And that's the advantage of using WordPress, is you have this strong, in the millions community that bands together that won't put up with malicious stuff, and even from an observer standpoint, and will make it aware to the people that have developed that particular plugin. So in this case, it worked like a charm.
And Security is very good on responsible disclosure. I know some some authors of plugins that they've reported vulnerabilities on may not agree with that. Of course, responsible disclosure, that is always something that could be up for debate. But in certain instances like this, when everybody gets involved and pushes updates out and it's just a smooth experience, it's just something nice to see. It's too bad it can't always be like that. So
Yeah.
WordSesh 3, do you know
Yeah.
what WordSesh is, Marcus?
I do.
So WordSesh 3 is set for December 20th, a day before my birthday in 2014. And what WordSesh is a worldwide WordCamp that's 24 hours long with one session per hour. So it is like the ultimate WordCamp party, and you can attend. It's free to attend. There will be a live stream available on YouTube, and it's being organized by Scott Basgard, again, with co-organizers Brad Williams, Dre Almeida, Chris Cochran, and Maria Scarpello. They will also be helping to coordinate the event. And unlike last year, where they actually had 2 tracks and 48 different sessions going on within a 24-hour period, he scaled it back down to 1 track. So it looks like this year's event will be more like there'll be 3 or 4 categories, maybe up to 5 different categories, and there'll be 3 or 4 sessions per category, followed by a roundtable discussion to where everybody can collect their thoughts or talk about what folks have said regarding that particular category. And right now it looks like the categories include business, users, themes, plugins, and community. And that should pretty much wrap up the event. And I imagine there's going to be some roundtables, some individual sessions. We'll have to find out. Of course, as what has become sort of part of the annual tradition of WordSesh, Dreadcast will once again kick off the event. And overall, just looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's great. I love these virtual sessions like this where it's not travel dependent. I mean, you and I know it's kind of a grind getting across the country to get to a big WordCamp where you can get all of these minds together in one room. So something like this that's virtual is going to still kind of take on that WordCamp feel that we all love and got a taste of the last couple of weeks. But it also extends out to people that you can't meet, that can't make it to travel to speak. So this is a great platform for people that don't otherwise get that opportunity to get that many eyes in front of them at one time. So it's kind of a dual purpose. It's a learning engagement apparatus for those of us out there that want to attend the sessions and soak some of that up. But then again, it's also great in the development role as far as getting great WordPress speakers and presenters to kind of earn their wings.
So regarding speakers, initially Scott will be personally inviting people who would like to speak at WordSesh or during WordSesh. I don't know, at WordSesh, because there's no physical location for it. But after the personal invitations have gone through, any available slots after that will be open to the public for other people to submit sessions or ideas to. And hopefully by the end of November, the schedule everything will be taken care of, and we'll see indications of a speaker schedule. Now, if you don't think WordSesh is popular, consider this. At last year's event, there were over 3,000 unique viewers from 85 different countries.
Hmm.
The city of Sofia, Bulgaria, which played host to WordCamp Europe this year, had the most viewers of any city in the world.
Hmm.
Consider that. Followed by London and New York. There were 36 unique viewers from Africa, 98 from Oceania, 120 from Asia, 843 from Europe, and 1,400 or so from North and South America. So that, I mean, this is really cool to just see one of the. This is a WordCamp, but it's worldwide. People watch and participate in the chat room all across the world, and it's one
Yeah.
of these events in the WordPress ecosystem where you may be separated by thousands of miles of space, but yet in the chat room and thanks to software, everyone is united for the purpose of furthering the project, and that's just a really cool feeling to be a part of.
Not just that, but it gives you an opportunity to ask questions while things are happening, which maybe other people in the chat room can answer for you, or if they give links or things like that. And you don't get that opportunity when you're sitting at a conference hall watching a session, right? You don't really get that real time feel. You can't just start talking to people 2 rows away from you about some question you had that just came up. So this is multifaceted as far as your communications and what you can do and what you can learn and how you can even network. If you go into a word sesh room where one of the tracks are, you're guaranteed to find like-minded individuals that are sticking around for that entire stream. So, those are your people.
And one other benefit to having a virtual WordCamp: no need for a safety officer.
Oh, that's right. I don't think with the beer that was served at Automatic that was required anyway.
Yes, everybody was relaxed and had a good time at the Automatic After Party. Thank you, thank you, Andrea, and everybody involved with keeping the
Yes.
music down low for most of the event. It was so much better this year. I just wanted to throw that out there.
It was awesome. The food was great, and yep, Andrea did a great job. I hope that maybe we can get her on again and maybe pry some WordCamp US info out of her.
well, we'll look into that. So the annual tradition WordPress that WP Shout has had now for at least the past, I'd say 2 years. I think they skipped a year. Alex Denning skipped a year. Is the web hosting survey. So what they do is they have the survey. It's a list of questions, and the survey collects data in 7 different areas. So there's average satisfaction, value, reliability, speed, support, median site count, which is an average of how many sites you're hosting on a particular plan, usability, and WordPress compatibility. And each respondent was asked to provide an overall impression between 1 through 10 to each area with an option to provide feedback via a text comment. Now, the monthly cost of a plan, number of sites hosted on the plan, and monthly traffic to hosted sites was also collected. Now, I know the folks wanted to get their goal this year was trying to get 500 respondents. Unfortunately, only 159 people responded, but the benefit of this is it's from actual customers, it's their experience, it's non-filtered, there are no affiliate links involved, it's just a tried and true survey, and here's the responses, and just take a look at them, and use it use the data as part of your decision-making process in either figuring out what's going on in the WordPress hosting scene, within the ecosystem, or for buying decisions, things of that nature. And there's one, out of all the data that this web hosting survey has, there's one thing in particular that I thought was interesting, and that's the customer experience by monthly cost. So those who use the cheapest hosting plans, no surprise here, between free and $5, ended up having the worst experience overall, according to
Imagine that.
Yeah, so that's something we've been told and people have said over the years, and this survey shows that it's still true. However, those who use plans in the $6 to $15 range show a significantly higher satisfaction rate across the board. Now, the surprising thing here is that the next pricing tier of $16 to $49, several of the managed WordPress hosting plans are in this price range, and according to the graph, take a somewhat of a sharp dip in terms of satisfaction. In many cases, the satisfaction levels are lower for those packages in those price ranges versus the $6 to $15 range. I found that to be surprising because you figure, well, these managed WordPress hosting companies or services are tailored specifically for WordPress sites. How could people not be satisfied using those services? So what this tells me is that a lot of the managed WordPress hosting companies still have room for improvement.
Okay, well, I'm going to reverse engineer this for you a little bit. You have to think of the client for those two price points too.
Okay.
So the person that's going to get the more robust plan, that's past the $10 range, whatever, that's somebody who's a power user of WordPress. So of course they're going to complain more because they know more. So they're going to want access to this and that, and well, oh, why can't you install this? Why can't I use this plugin? Or why can't I install Ion Cube and all these crazy little additions to your PHP? And so of course, because they're a higher level, so they're going to be a bigger critic.
Okay, I see that. But then for just about uh, every section of the graph here, for those who pay $50 or more for their particular plan, they actually have the most satisfaction. Yeah, and go figure that. I mean, I got to imagine you better be satisfied if you're paying that much
Yeah.
money per month for your web hosting plan or whatever company you're hosting with. So I think at the end of the day, I think what happens here is, A, yeah, what you said about the client is true, but B, the old adage of you get what you pay for, especially in the web hosting industry. Even though there are some excellent web hosts out there on the cheap budget hosts, I think overall, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, and I'm disappointed in the community. 100 some responses. That gives me an idea, Jeff. Should I debut it here on the show and let everybody, whoever wants to do it, it's your idea. Okay?
No. Well,
I'm
okay,
gonna-
fine. Okay, put the idea out
Here
there.
we go. Ready? Hold on. Here's the idea. WP survey portal, something like that.
I love these domains you come up with.
That make somebody out there make something that is an aggregate that has all of these kinds of surveys that are going on for WordPress that people can just follow, and one place can like knock it out every day. Oh, is there a new survey? Let me participate real quick. Something like that.
Now,
So
wait a minute. Then we're going to get ads, or we're going to
no,
see a
you can't
banner
have
ads that
ads.
say, "We'll pay you $5 to
No,
participate in this
no,
WordPress
no, no,
survey."
no, none of that. This has to be legitimate. Legitimate. Somebody in the community needs to make this.
Well, I mean, come on. Taking surveys isn't fun. It's time consuming, and even if you make it one question, a lot of people will just delete it. They won't even participate.
What's wrong with you people? This is WordPress
Well,
here.
I took the survey. I mean, but you have to go through. You're marking 10 through 10. You're giving your feedback, and I know how important surveys are, especially to the people who are recording the data. But they're no fun. Now, I think what they're going to end up doing next year, they're already planning on coming up with incentives for surveys, and I don't know. I would like to see some data. I haven't done any research on this, but it must work, providing some awesome incentives to take this survey to give us your responses. Now, I was thinking about this earlier today. What if they provided incentives to where you get a year's free of hosting to whoever is the most, to whatever host has the most satisfied customers or whatever? Then they can't do that though, because then there would be
Yeah.
questions of validity in the data in the stream. But
Yeah.
hopefully, maybe next year they'll provide incentives like, I don't know, Gravity Forms, developer licenses, or just some other prizes, consolations for, hey, thanks for spending some time giving us your data. You might win this. We'll see
How
what
about the
happens.
loser has to pay for the next party at WordCamp USA?
Oh, geez. So, and one other thing to make note of is that the small or specialty web host ranked very well. Examples include Flywheel, No surprise to me about
Yeah.
Flywheel. And A Small Orange and DigitalOcean also has a good showing with high rankings across the board. Now, there are two web hosting companies that are pretty large that I'm not sure what's going on. They didn't have the most stellar of rankings, and that's DreamHost and Media Temple. DreamHost especially, where some folks commented that they've liked DreamHost in the past, but it seems to get slower and slower, and another person commented that the reliability has gotten worse over the years.
I concur with that as a DreamHost client right now.
Okay.
I am pulling the ejection seat right now on DreamHost.
And where are you heading? Is it a
Uh,
secret?
no, it's no secret. And also, I get hacked a lot at DreamHost. Like, I've had bare WordPress installs that I would just install, put, Clef on, stuff like that, only one or two plugins, and they get hacked. I get email, hey, you got a PHP file in there. Well, what the hell,
Now wait. Now how can we determine this is not end user error?
Dude, who are you talking to here? Come on. I know better. I got like 10 hosting accounts. Yeah.
I really got to get on. I got to get a soundboard guy. And I just read a couple things the other day about DigitalOcean, and they're experiencing massive growth. They're becoming one of the top 4 web hosting companies in the world, and they're doing it within the span of, I think, 2 or 3 years. They've gone gangbusters.
Yeah, well, I
But
can
I've
name
heard a lot of people
50 other hosts that have done the same exact path, and they just go straight down again.
Yep. So we'll have to see the longevity of DigitalOcean. But one thing to keep in mind about all this data is that because it's only based on about 159 responses, the rankings and ratings for a particular host, there might have been only 3 responses or 5 responses, so there's not a lot of data to go by in terms of the rankings. But if you look at it as a whole, and you look at it as just another data point for comparisons and just something else to, in terms of another source of information, because you shouldn't just use one particular piece of information to make a decision on which particular web host you should use. You should use recommendations from friends or people personal research, and non-affiliated reviews if you can find them. And this is just one of those reliable sources of information that you can count on, because it's based on customer experiences and things of that nature. So you don't have to worry about any hodgepodge going on in there.
And again, I'm so disappointed in our community. Come on, you guys should hang your head in shame right now if you didn't participate in the survey like Jeff and I. Because I'll tell you what, Jeff, what if this thing would have gotten 100,000 participants in it, which isn't unrealistic in terms of the WordPress community? What if it would have gotten 100,000 people that would have voiced their opinion about their host? Don't you think people like GoDaddy and DreamHost and HostGator and all that would go, oh boy, we better work on that?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would. I mean, that's free research and development material right there for those companies.
Yeah, exactly. And you know that it's not influenced by the hosting companies if it's in survey form from a reputable source like that. So come on, community, get your stuff together here.
And I did want to point out that there was on WPShout.com where they did a whole review of the data they have. Haven Swift Hosting, their results were actually taken out of the survey because they actually they had 13 responses, but they sent the survey link to its customers and encouraged them to respond, which
I think that's fair.
You think that's fair?
Why not? Unless you're cherry picking your customers, but if you're going to blanket do that and say, look, we'd love for you to participate because you're a WordPress user. What's wrong with that? What's the difference between them saying it and us saying it?
Yeah, I mean, I imagine if you want to see, as a company, I would probably push it to my customers and hope, without saying, hey, give us, if we think we're doing a good job, let us know. I would just say, hey, you might want to contribute to this survey,
Yeah.
and just be truthful and honest about it, and then I can take a look at the results afterwards. And in fact, if we want to get more data into the survey, I think you're going to have to allow web hosting companies to point it to their customers or their managed WordPress hosting company or customers instead of not being able to do that.
Yeah, it's like a battle of the bands. It's not really, the winner's not based on talent, it's based on how many people they can bring through the door.
Mm-hmm. So congrats on WP Shout on the survey, and I look forward. I swear next year, somehow, some way, we're going to get that 500 marker, and if not, 1,000. Maybe we'll aim for 1,000 just so we
Well,
can.
if they would give us a little heads up, you know.
Well, they did give us a heads up. I wrote about it on the Tavern about a month or so beforehand, about a month or two, and I think I tweeted it out a couple of times. We need to get more people involved to spread the word.
Yeah, see, we need a survey site, just like I said.
Survey
WP
set.
surveys.
Ding.
Ding.
So that wraps it up for our news of the week. We were going to interview Sean Hesketh tonight, who is the founder and CEO of WP 101, but I made a little snafu, and he's going to be our guest next Wednesday night, so I'm looking forward to that episode. So before we get out of here, Marcus, why don't you go ahead and give us your plug-in picks of the week?
Oh, yeah, we got some good ones this week, Jeff. First one on deck is User Profile, and it's by Paratheme. It's a plugin that allows for infinite expansion of the user profile in WordPress. Now, by that, I mean it allows for unlimited user fields within the user. So you can ask them a crazy question. You can put things in that typically wouldn't be in a user profile, right out of the gate. For instance, like, what's your WordPress repository username? That's pretty cool. Wouldn't you like to know that in somebody's author box? So the nice thing about this is you don't have to know crazy PHP and able to invoke these things that people enter in those fields for those different user items. All you have to do is use a shortcode. So if you want to make your own author box and then call up, when this user's page is on, show their Twitter, show their Facebook, show their G+, and then, show me what their favorite food is. So that's pretty cool. It allows for a lot more customization of the different users that you have on the site.
So I can add a user profile field and ask my users, what's your favorite topping on pizza? I mean, that's valuable information. I need to know that.
That's right. That's right. So it works for post authors, any of that stuff. You'd have to implement it a little bit more into the comment function, which might require a little bit of coding. But as far as in post and sidebar and stuff like that, that's pretty cool. And by the way, that gives you another option because it's shortcode based. You can have an author box down below, but maybe you want to hook something over to the sidebar that's even crazier. That's got their latest Instagram feed or of that individual author. So it's kind of a dynamic widgeted type of a thing too. So it's pretty cool. It's called User Profile.
I like the fact that the profile fields in WordPress are extensible. Mostly there's a lot of great plugins out there that extend it. And if I'm thinking that if I were to use any particular website that I was using, like for instance, if I had a pizza website, either a fan site or a community attached to my pizza company or my restaurant, it would be very easy for me to add profile fields like, what is your favorite pizza? And in a way, I would think a lot of people would probably fill that out because it's relevant to the site that they're on, and it also would give me as a site owner data into just seeing, I could probably look it up in the database or whatever. I could compare and see just what everybody's favorite pizzas are, just for the heck of it.
Yeah, and maybe you want to market like that too. You could probably implement this into some sort of a WooCommerce account field for because you make a new user out of them. I don't know, but this is the start, right? I mean, there are other plugins out there that just do crazy author box stuff, and you're just limited to only what's in the user profile. But now you can do anything you want. Sky's the limit.
Awesome.
Next one is much like user profile in the way that allows you a lot more customization. It's called Beautiful Taxonomy Filters, and it gives you the power to kind of fuel up your custom post types. Gives an option to present the viewer with filtering based on any registered custom post type that you have. So if it's a movie or an actor or a film title or things like that, you can set that all up in your custom post types and then let the user select whichever filtering mechanism they want, and then it shows all the different posts that you have related to that. So it's a really great way to kind of take advantage of custom post types that doesn't require crazy theming or custom code or any of that stuff. And the nice thing is it's not like a wide open gate that goes through and has every custom post type available to see through the user with drop downs and all that. You can exclude a lot of different custom post types and only get to the ones that you really care about the most. So it's really nice. It's called Beautiful Taxonomy Filters. And the next one, Jeff, we like lazy plugins. It's one of my favorite kind. And this one is called Network Menu Copier. Now, we had a copy migration the other day where it was, or last week.
Widget importer.
We talked about widgets. Well, check this out. Now, this one does it with menus. So we're almost migrating everything all at once except for the posts. But if you want to migrate theme stuff without actually migrating the theme, if you're doing recurring, repetitive setup of the same stupid menu and the same widgets, well, the plugin I talked about last week goes really well with this one. It's called Network Menu Copier, and it's a really great plugin if you do multiple sites where you're setting up the same menus.
And at some point, either on your personal site or somewhere, you're going to have to do a post on Marcus's favorite lazy plugins.
That's a book probably in the making. WordPress the lazy way.
The lazy way to WordPress.
Oh, there you go.
There you go. That's a book title. Copyright that. Yeah, right. There we go.
Before Ryan Himmel steals it.
So let's see. Any upcoming events, announcements? No. We're in the month of November, so next week is the interview with Sean Hesketh, and then I'm going to work on a show for the 19th, and then at the end of the month, on the 26th, we'll probably postpone the show so we can spend time with our loved ones.
Yes.
Which is me in a six-pack. So, anyways, that's what the schedule looks like for this month for WordPress Weekly. Hey, everybody, thanks for listening to the show. I really appreciate it. If you hear my voice, if you've listened to this episode, do me a huge favor. I know we're really late into the episode, but if you made it this far, Godspeed. And
then they love us. If they made it this
far.
Us.
Can you send me an email at jeffc@wptavern.com and just say hello. Just tell me that you heard my voice, you heard my request, and that you listened to this show, and that because I actually don't know who's listening to this show, and I don't really ask anybody to let me know. So if you've made it this far, send me an email, say hi, say something, so that I know that you're listening to the show, and I'll be fascinated to see just how many people follow up on that request. Could you think I'll get more emails than survey respondents to the web hosting survey?
Well, I hope so, but the people that talk to me and stop me on the street and talk about the show, they love it. So I'm looking forward to the responses that you get. Please share them with me when you get them.
Yes. I want people to realize that I'm on this show too. It's not just Marcus.
Yeah, and you know what would help people? Some iTunes reviews. We don't ever ask for that. Yeah, we don't ever ask for that, and I always beg for it.
Reviews.
I beg for it on my other show every time, and there's no wonder why I'm in the top 3 as far as the rankings for WordPress shows, right? So help us out here. Jeff and I have been, trucking along for a long time, and we're coming up on episode 200 soon, and I don't think we even have any reviews yet. So first one that puts a review out, I'll give you. I don't know can I offer him money? I don't know.
No. Let's not even go that
far.
$6. No way.
But I have I got some WordPress stuff I'll send you. I don't know.
You could tell them thank you. That's good enough.
Okay. I got to resort to bribery. I don't know what else to do.
Ah, boy. So after all that, that's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of WordPress Weekly. You can find show notes on WPTavern.com for this episode and all previous episodes of the show. You can follow me on Twitter at Jeffro, that's JEFFR0. And Marcus Couch, where can we follow you?
Oh, the list is growing. You can find me at my website, marcuscouch.com. Don't forget, this show is also heard at WordPress Radio and streamed, which is WPR.FM. And you can find me on Twitter at MarcusCouch.
Fantastic. So until we meet again, which by all accounts should be next Wednesday evening, everybody have a safe and enjoyable rest of the week.